Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day. Today's rundown goes out to my very special friend, Jose Sanchez. It's his birthday today, so do me a favor, get on Twitter and send Don Fubar a big happy birthday message from yourself and a hug from me. Okay, will you do that? And also, before we get started, I have to make a correction for something that we said in Friday's show. We said that the new Halo Infinite was being made by Bungie. Bungie hasn't been making Halo games for years. We know it's 343 Industries. We're sorry about that, and thank you to everybody that corrected us. We sped through that script a little bit too quickly, and we didn't catch that. Sorry about that. But let's get started with your rundown. We still don't know how much the PS5 is going to cost, but it might leave a major dent in your bank account. Sony is reportedly expecting the new console to have a high price at launch. That's according to a new report in Bloomberg, which, citing unnamed sources, claims that the system's ambitious tech specs are driving up production costs, with estimates that it might retail for $500 to $550 US. For comparison, the PS3 also started at $500 US, while the much more successful PS4 launched at $400. The report in Bloomberg goes on to claim that because of the higher price, Sony is expecting less demand for the system, so they're limiting their initial production run to just 5 to 6 million units, while the PS4 launched with 7.5 million. Surprisingly, the higher cost and limited numbers are apparently unrelated to COVID-19, with Bloomberg claiming that the pandemic has affected Sony's promotional plans for the new console, but not their production capacity. Keep in mind that none of this news is official, so it might change as Sony weighs their options.
I guess we'll find out soon enough.
I think what Sony should do, and not to be one to tell Sony how to run their PlayStation business, we all do that, don't we? I think they should probably come in around 450 and sort of get in front of a lot of this speculation and this rumor mongering and this kind of worst case scenario type fear that might be out there. $400 for the PlayStation 4 was universally hailed as a fantastic price point for a very sophisticated machine when that launched. Everybody was quite happy with that. $500 was historically way too much for the PlayStation 3 to launch. It launched with all kinds of problems, but we're expecting the PlayStation 5 to be an incredible piece of hardware with unbelievably cool new abilities and technologies included in there. And so, I think we would all be, clearly we would appreciate it being cheaper than $450, but I think that's a softer price point. That's a price point that isn't going to alienate people and not give people the ammunition to go back in time and say, well, you screwed up with the PlayStation 3. I don't think you're going to be able to do it again with PlayStation 5. The easier sort of message to get out there for Sony is $450, and it's a super powerful machine that's going to eclipse a lot of the most powerful gaming PCs that are out there if they want to make that comparison. I'm super stoked, man. I can't wait to see all the bells and whistles. I can't wait to see the new software and what it's going to look like. We got pretty damn close to photoreal on a lot of software in this current generation, so stuff should be truly staggering with this next generation. I have no doubt that the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X hardware and software announcements are going to be very exciting. Before next gen arrives, one current gen system is going out in style. Microsoft and developer CD Projekt Red have unveiled a limited edition version of the Xbox One X based around their upcoming game Cyberpunk 2077. It's a 1 terabyte model complete with laser etchings and glow-in-the-dark panels, and there's also a custom controller with a similar look. That arrives in June, and if you don't want the console, the controller is also being sold separately and is available today. Since the game itself doesn't come out until September, the console has a download code that can be redeemed when the game arrives. Only 45,000 consoles are being made, so they might go quick.
Right, that's the cost of doing biz.
Since next gen is almost here, this is expected to be the final limited edition for the Xbox One generation. Oh my lord, that is a very sweet looking machine. Congratulations to all our friends at Microsoft and at CD Projekt Red for putting that deal together. I don't know how many more people are going to jump into the Xbox One X now because everybody knows that new hardware is imminent, but if you haven't yet and you're looking for a 4K Blu-ray player, the Xbox One X does that, and playing games in 4K with HDR on that machine is pretty damn sweet. I've been very impressed with the Xbox One X, so this might be the tipping point. I don't know if we're going to get Cyberpunk 2077 for the next gen machines for a little while, and one thing that Microsoft and CD Projekt Red have said about Xbox, if you get the game for current gen Xbox One, it will automatically be upgraded to Xbox Series X. I'm saying Xbox a lot in this little bit here, but that is a sweet looking machine, and congrats to everybody that snags one of those. More evidence has come in that one of Nintendo's best game series is getting a power-up. A remastered Metroid Prime trilogy is apparently coming to the Switch. A listing for the unannounced collection briefly appeared on the Best Buy website over the weekend before being taken down, although no cover art or release date was listed. This might have just been a mistake on Best Buy's part, but there have been similar leaks about the collection from other retailers in the past, so it looks like they jumped the gun on a forthcoming announcement. Either way, a remastered Metroid Prime trilogy for the Switch makes a lot of sense. Nintendo is currently working with the trilogy's developer Retro Studios on the all-new Metroid Prime 4, so re-releasing the previous games on the same platform would be a good way to get fans pumped for the new one. And I come in fully pumped. I can't wait for this. The trilogy remaster, because playing through those games again, always a good time. But I can't wait for Metroid Prime 4. I just played a bunch of Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo as part of our last First 5 feature that ran on the weekend. Such a phenomenal franchise, and Retro killed it with Metroid Prime. Cannot wait to see what they do with 4. And honestly, an up-res version of the Metroid Prime trilogy would be a gift for all of us Switch owners out there. Very much looking forward to that. A much darker kind of outer space shooter is still on the way, but fans might have a reason to be worried. System Shock 3 developer Other Side Entertainment has assured fans that the game is still coming despite a string of major setbacks. The game was dropped by its publisher Starbreeze Studios last year, and shortly after that, Other Side Entertainment was forced to lay off most of the game's development team, including its design director and lead programmer. There haven't been any official updates since then, but now, writing on the game's official forums, VP of Marketing and Business Development Walter Sommel says the project is still coming, but they can't say anything more for now. That might not sound very reassuring. They haven't said how many developers are actively working on the game or how far along they are, so we might be waiting a while for the next official update. In the meantime, a full remake of the original System Shock is being handled by a completely different company, Night Dive Studios, the same team behind the recent ports of Doom 64. That has suffered a few delays of its own, but nowhere near the problems of System Shock 3. It's on track to land this year. These are very complicated games that we're talking about here. The original System Shock, even though it looks primitive and rudimentary in some of the visuals that we're showing right here, it was a game that offered you almost a limitless amount of choice and freedom, kind of like the precursor to the Deus Ex franchise. So it was incredibly ambitious and elaborate, and you don't want to drop the ball with that. That's a tremendous brand, and maybe it didn't have the resonance that Deus Ex had, but there's a lot of people that know and love System Shock, and if we're making a new one with a new number at the end of it, it's got to kick some serious ass. So don't say ass, Ruby. That's a swear word. So it's up to this team to kind of really deliver. They have to find all kinds of different ways to get past and overcome their obstacles and their challenges, and they got to do it or quit while you're ahead, because the expectation and the criticism that will be levied at a company that botches a job like that will not be easy to kind of navigate through. So System Shock 3 can't fumble to the finish line. It has to be great. So whatever's happening at Other Side, I totally wish them well, but certainly I'm not sitting here feeling like, yep, this is in great hands and everything is coming together beautifully. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it's awesome. If you're escaping this pandemic in the colorful world of Animal Crossing, like Ruby and I are, Nintendo might soon be making it bigger. Data miners have unearthed loads of unreleased content hidden inside Animal Crossing New Horizons. For starters, they've discovered the existence of bushes, similar to the kind found in the 3DS game New Leaf, as well as references for diving, meaning that players might eventually be able to jump into the water and swim. The game's code also references unused shops as well as upgrades, like a new area of the in-game museum to showcase player-created artwork. Keep in mind that even though code for this content appears in the game, there's no guarantee that it will ever be officially released. It could be coming in future updates, or it could be stuff that was originally in the game but was cut out before launch. We do know that Nintendo is planning to support the game with new content for years to come. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that there are new mechanics and new elements to Animal Crossing New Horizons that have never been seen in this franchise before. That's kind of what we have come to expect out of Switch releases from Nintendo. I also would expect that there's a pretty substantial DLC plan for this. and we're gonna get a ton of new content. It's a massive game to begin with, and I know a lot of people during this pandemic have been just burning through it and building up massive island fortresses with all kinds of great houses and different creations and constructs, and they've been buying everything and buying as many turnips and making as much money as possible. I know that people have just been playing it too much, and that's kind of what this pandemic has allowed people the time to be able to do. But I don't know if that's the best way to enjoy this game. You know, I feel like the best way is to play it for maybe an hour a day or something like that. You know, go in for a bit, play, do some chores and stuff. But I feel like it's so addictive and so consuming, and there's so many, you know, hooky little things to do, even if they're laden with repetition, and you find yourself going, why am I doing this? Why am I spending so much time doing this? Clearly, people are as obsessed with this game as my family is, and Nintendo knows that. They're very aware. Sales are through the roof. And the buzz is great. I was on CNN last week talking about how much people are adoring this game and the reasons why.
The game is a life simulator that arrived at the perfect time for many people, according to Victor Lucas of the Electric Playground Network.
At this time, I can't think of a game that, in my whole 26-year history of covering video games, I can't think of a game that has come out with more opportune timing than Animal Crossing during this pandemic. Nintendo's going to support the title. They've been supporting all of their games, and I think we're going to start to see a lot of great little surprises in there. I was underwhelmed, like most of you were, with the Easter content, but I think Nintendo learned some valuable lessons there, and we're going to see a lot of killer stuff in Animal Crossing New Horizons. It's still the best thing I've played in 2020. I freaking love the game. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for our rundown today. Thank you so much for watching. We've got a brand new one in store for you tomorrow, so make sure you come back for that. Happy birthday again to my buddy Jose, and we will see you soon. And until then, you guys play forever.